from last year and a half approximately, I've been working on this platform called Fandora. Right? Fandora, I think Fandora was a combination of whatever I've been doing and I've been learning so far, right? From my crowdfunding days, from helping the creative industry, from my media fund days, right? So I thought, why don't I bring the benefits of Web3 and blockchain into the space of content IP investments, right? So that's where we are creating Fandora, where we are creating a fractionalization platform and a tokenization platform for letting people invest in content IP now, right? Because even now, if you look at it, content IP, though it's a $300 billion market,
in India or globally?
Globally. India would be about 30 billion. Right?
Achha,
But India
still 30 billion.
Yes.
Wow.
India
so that's 1/10.
Yes, India is one of the biggest content makers globally.
Yeah.
Right. But even then, if you look at it, the market is very, very closely held, right, by just few studios or few financials, right. So the idea was that can we bring in the element of fractionalization and Web3 to unlock that potential in this space, right? And so that is what we are talking
Can you
about.
explain us little bit more about content IP? How does it work? Let's take an example. Let's say if we are doing this podcast, right? It's a form of a content, right? A video content, basically. So when you say fractionalization of content IP and monetizing it, having blockchain, etc. into it, how does the product work? What is the business around it?
Sure. So any content, if you look at it, right, and it could be anything. It could be a film, a podcast, a music, a web series.
Let's take this podcast. We have this episode when we go live.
So when you create any IP, any artist, any creator, when they create an IP, they always have a ways to monetize it, right? Because if any content is created, that content is created with the understanding that there will be people who will view that content. That's the eventual idea, right? And in between this, the IP itself is monetized. That's how the whole business operates.
So let's say if I am running this podcast, I'll have to create an IP for this?
No, you already are creating IP.
Okay, that is IP.
Correct.
I don't have
This
to do
is
any
the
legal
IP.
paperwork
No,
or
correct.
something.
No, this is your IP.
I'm trying to know very basics so that even the viewers can come to know,
So this
right?
is your IP already.
This is an IP.
Correct. The
It's
moment
called
you edit this,
Level Up. The brand name is Level Up. So
Correct.
that is my IP.
Correct.
Now let's say you are Fandora.
Right.
Okay. Let's say if I'm getting an X number of views on YouTube, on LinkedIn, etc. Once we go live with this, right? Now let's say, so you come to me or I come to you. How does it work? Okay. Let's say one of us approaches each other, and we what will you tell me that okay, this is your podcast, it's your content IP. How can you help me monetize this?
Correct. So again, I'm not helping you to monetize it.
Acha, okay.
Right, but I am ready to invest in you if you want to level up. That ways. Correct? Because every creator needs money to make the product better.
Yeah.
That's a continuous cycle. Right? Until unless you reach a stage when you are known and well known and then there are sponsors running after you, you have to do the other way around.
Correct.
You have to run after sponsors, right? So even now, for example, if you wish to continue it, because you have your team, right? And you have to maintain that team.
So the big content creators today are getting a lot of sponsors.
Correct.
Like Dhruv Rathi is there.
Correct.
He gets advertisement and he's
Correct.
speaking about a brand where he's getting money. So it's sponsorship.
Correct.
Ranveer Alabadia is getting
Absolutely.
RGO and all these people.
Correct. So, but then again what happens, it becomes a lopsided structure, right? Until unless you have crossed, let's say half a million or a million,
of course.
you're no one.
Correct.
You have to keep forgetting, you have to keep begging for sponsorships, you have to keep running after brands.
And YouTube is hard. It's not simple.
Correct.
You have to really play your game
YouTube
really
again
well.
is a very, I would say, opaque algorithm. You cannot know whether YouTube is making 1 lakh or 1 crore out of it. You will only get a percentage of it.
Yeah.
Right? And you cannot
YouTube revenue, you cannot really rely upon.
Correct.
But as a means of even going to a X number of views or a reach or a subscriber base, YouTube is hard. It's not simple.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is basically for young content creators who are starting out.
So I would not say young.
Not young, but young in terms of their journey in content creation.
See, ultimately, I would say Fandora today is end of the day an investment model.
Okay.
Right. So which means that in whoever invest in, while yes, there is, we want to support creators, right? But we also want to look at the fact that we should be able to give returns back to the investors.
Correct.
Right? Because this is not a equity-free crowdfunding that I'm doing now. I'm doing an investment product. You are a fractional investment product, right? So which means that I will have to curate and understand with the creator that whether this product will make money or not for my investors, right?
How will the content make money in terms of sponsorships and those things?
Sponsorships, IP rights, right? So like today a film typically has almost 38 rights that they can sell.
Correct.
Right from your airline rights to your music rights to your TV satellite rights, OTT rights, secure rights, precure rights, dubbing rights, right? So there's a multiple sorts of ways where a IP makes money, right? I mean today even a book is not just restricted to a royalty, right? Today your book can have film rights, filmmaking rights, right? So even a book has become a very interesting IP asset today.
Yeah.
Right. So anything that has an IP has always a good potential around it, and as we go more deeper into it, the opportunities are only increasing, right? So I think that's where we play.
So you will invest. Let's say I say that okay, I need 1 crore.
Correct.
So you will get investors by way of fractional investment who will be probably investing 5-10 lakh each.
Yes.
So 10 people coming with 10 lakh, they get X number of units in the company in let's say in this podcast, right? And you have a dedicated time frame which you want to give an exit and returns to your investors. So for that, you will have to understand my model. How am I going to monetize this podcast? And when will I start monetizing? What is the genre of the content? And how big can it become? How scalable it can become, etc. Okay,
right.
Got it.
So I mean, see, there are very different things happening in this space now, right? So as I was saying, there's multiple things happening in this space of content IP and blockchain. Right? At one level, it is helping creators in two ways. One, it is giving them access to more funding sources, right? Because now their fans and audience can fund and they do not have to depend only on some particular studios.
Correct.
Two, I think it is also giving them a right over their content. Because in the current structure, creators normally end up selling their soul for peanuts. Right? Because they have to give away everything. They have to give away IP rights, royalty rights, nothing. The studio takes away everything from them. Right? They're just left with that upfront money that they get. And the studio is the one who keeps extracting money from IP for over the years, right?
Yeah. Once they buy your IP, you are just going to give royalty to the content creator. Okay.
Right? But now with this blockchain-based financing, they know that how can they monetize your content. They have that IP with them, right? So which means that if I have created a podcast, right, and you have your IP with you, even if this podcast keeps running for years and you keep making money for years, that money is yours. That money is not for the studio. Right? So that's the biggest advantage.
That is what is happening in the music industry also.
Correct.
Which has...
Correct. Again, wherever the Web3 or democratization is happening, this is happening in the same space. Right? So this is one point around it. The second point is that also there are interesting models in the space itself. For example, there's a company called Nouns.
Okay.
Right? And what Nouns have been doing, though Nouns is not in the content space, they are more in the social space, but there are similar models coming in the content space now. For example, what Nouns is doing is Nouns is launching one NFT per day, right? And this NFT has to be bid for, and people have to buy that NFT. So the price will depend on daily bidding. The benefit is that once you get this NFT, you become part of the DAO, the governance council, which is a decentralized autonomous organization controlling that pool of money, right? So all the NFT proceeds will come to this money, and then you get to decide where this money will be deployed.
Okay.
So imagine the power that you now have as an investor, as an individual investor, to decide that how billions of dollars, for example, would be moved to multiple social projects, right? So you have a right to vote out there, and we are planning to do something similar in the movie industry also, right? So today, if we are able to create this entire pool, you become the collective deciders of where this money will be invested, in what kind of films will we back, or what kind of musicians we want to back, right? So again,
so the right goes away from studio to these investors.
So the whole model becomes more participative, right? And I think that's the eventual aim that we all.
So you all are targeting more movies and that, or
I'm open. So right now we are agnostic. We are even looking. We are talking to movies. We are talking to art projects. We are talking to some web series project as well.
Okay. So for podcast, you know where to come.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.